The human emperor banner had been quietly stored in the storage realm for 30 years, untouched by anyone. However, when he finally took it out, the first thing he did was transform his former beloved disciples into monstrous pets, sealing their fates. It turned out that he had once been the most powerful chi refining cultivator in the world, with unparalleled strength. But just as he was about to ascend through the tribulation, his once revered disciples had secretly plotted against him long before, taking advantage of the moment when the heavenly tribulation bound him. They unleashed the deadly thunder sword technique, vowing to erase him under the weight of the tribulation. However, due to his extraordinary cultivation, although he did not die, he was severely injured, bearing heavy wounds. Seeing his once obedient disciple draw a sword against him, rage burned his heart like a blazing fire. He had planned to completely erase this disciple who had betrayed his master and extinguished his ancestors. But just as he was about to act, he was unexpectedly ambushed by another. When he saw the true face of the attacker, he was stunned to realize it was his fourth disciple, Bai Yu. This revelation filled him with both fury and confusion. He had never wronged them, so why would they commit such an unthinkable act? But reality struck him like a painful blow to the heart. Who else? Come at me together. Sure enough, in the next moment, a golden ingot fell from the sky, and with a powerful crash, it sent him crashing deep into the ground, burying his fury and doubts completely. What fell was surprisingly an old copper coin, heavy and exuding an ancient aura. Swear, you truly have come, just as I expected. But, strangely, where are the others? Where are the first and fifth? However, Schwer did not respond. Her gaze was cold and her voice sharp as she slowly said, "Master, cease your resistance. Your crimes are too numerous to be recorded on a bamboo slip." Her words cut through the air like a sharp blade. Now that you've fallen to this state, it's all of your own making. You have no one to blame but yourself. Upon hearing this, he suddenly burst into loud laughter, a laugh that echoed with madness and disdain. What a fine way to say, too many crimes to count. Have you even prepared the false charges against me? He sneered, his voice dripping with provocation and sarcasm. But you've truly underestimated me. His eyes gleamed with fury, like a raging fire. Although I don't know what your intentions are today, since you all wish to take my life, then let's go down together. His voice was filled with determination and madness, as though he no longer feared any consequences. As soon as the words left his mouth, he immediately summoned his true soul form, Feishan Shengdi, heaven and earth, the atmosphere around him twisting as if the world itself bent to his will. He was about to self-destruct, planning to take them all down with him, leaving no mercy behind. The women, seeing this, were thrown into utter chaos, panic flooding their hearts. Damn it, where's the senior brother? Didn't he leave a backup plan? Why is this situation so different from what he told us? But with the danger right before them, they had no time for further thought. They desperately lunged at him, trying to stop him from detonating. Yet, in the end, they were one step too late. The deafening roar of the explosion tore through the very fabric of the world. A massive explosion almost engulfed the entire planet, shaking the very foundation of existence. When he finally opened his eyes again, he found himself in an entirely unfamiliar environment, and the noise outside was overwhelming, as if the entire world was in a state of chaotic uproar. He turned his head at the sound, and saw countless monsters rampaging through the streets, relentlessly chasing the surviving humans, an overwhelming sense of despair hanging in the air. At that moment, he immediately understood. He had been reborn into an apocalyptic world. However, the one question that still gnawed at him was, why had his disciples done this to him? By killing him, what would they gain? With no answers forthcoming, he shook his head, sighing, "Forget it, if I can't change it, I'll just let it go." For now, the most important thing was to restore this body to its peak condition. When the day comes that he returns to the immortal realm, he would treat them with the love they deserved. He took a deep breath and immediately began meditating in a cross-legged position. In his mind, he silently thought, with the divine soul realm he had once reached, even if he had to start over, his progress would be swift. He would undoubtedly return to his peak, and it would only be a matter of time. However, just 2 seconds later, he suddenly sensed something was wrong. Why couldn't he feel the presence of spiritual energy? Could it be that this body's aptitude was too poor? He reluctantly extended his hand out of the window. Then, with a tight grip, he realized there wasn't a single trace of spiritual energy in this world. Damn, how could this be? Not only could he not cultivate, but it seemed surviving in this world would be incredibly difficult. Just then, the door to the room was suddenly pushed open. Immediately, a man and a woman hurriedly entered, looking alarmed but unscathed. The woman, panting heavily, clearly shaken, said, "It's so terrifying outside. I almost thought I was going to die out there." The man wrapped his arm around her waist, clearly at ease, and they began to tease each other. The woman playfully pouted, "Stop it. You're touching me in broad daylight. What if someone's still outside? They might see us." The man began to undress, sneering, "Isn't that more thrilling? Even if that useless fool sees us, what can he do?" At that moment, the woman's eyes widened in terror as she noticed a distinct bite mark on the man's arm. She asked anxiously, "What happened to the wound on your arm?" The man shrugged nonchalantly, replying, "Probably just got bitten by some crazy person on the street. Don't worry, it's nothing. Now, enough about that. Let's focus on what's important." Without further ado, he proceeded to engage in actions that were beyond description. But suddenly, the man's movements came to a halt. The woman, confused, looked at him and urged, "Why did you stop? Keep going." As the man slowly raised his head, his eyes no longer held the look of a human. Instead, they were filled with a savage, bloodshot glare. His body twisted, transforming into a monstrous form in an instant. He opened his blood-soaked mouth, ready to lunge at the woman, his fangs dripping with blood. The woman, overcome with an indescribable fear, struggled with all her might, pushing and shoving the monster's head away. She then screamed, "Get away, monster! Don't come any closer!" Suddenly, a sound alerted him to the presence of others in the room. Based on the original owner's memories, he quickly realized that the body's girlfriend and her lover were inside. He couldn't help but give a self-mocking smile, a cold thought creeping into his mind. He, too, was a pitiful person betrayed by those close to him. The moment he opened the door, the sight before him nearly shattered his sanity. His girlfriend, Lu Ruyan, was being viciously torn apart by the man with yellow hair. Upon seeing him suddenly appear, Lu Ruyan grasped at him like a drowning person clutching a lifeline. She screamed desperately for him to save her, her voice filled with panic and hopelessness. But he paid her no heed, his mind cold and unfeeling. Those who betray others deserve no mercy. The scene broke Lu Ruyan's spirit completely, despair flooding her heart. She cursed furiously, shouting in desperation, "Subai, you bastard, come save me. Damn it, don't think that just because I die, you'll get away with it." Her voice trembled, a mix of anger and terror. He merely sneered, without the slightest flicker of emotion. This was their just punishment. However, the current situation forced him to think of other ways. If this deadlock continued, not only would he not be able to return to the immortal realm, but he might even die here today. With that thought, he took a deep breath, then crossed his legs and began meditating, closing his eyes to focus. Although his sea of consciousness still contained some life-saving treasures, with his current cultivation, he had no hope of acquiring any high-level magical treasures. Clenching his fists, he made a silent vow. "I'll risk it. Go big or go home. If I can get a mid-level magical item, that would be a huge win." However, as his remaining trace of spiritual power flowed into the artifact, the item that emerged was a low-tier magical treasure, the Soul Gathering Banner. The result left him utterly speechless, a deep sense of disappointment and anger filling his heart. He angrily tossed the Soul Gathering Banner to the ground, cursing loudly. "What the hell is this? Giving me such a low-tier item for demonic cultivators? No 9-turn soul elixir, At least give me a divine speed armor to save my life." Just then, a series of electronic tones suddenly echoed in his mind. Detected that the host has acquired the magical item Soul Gathering Banner. It has now been bound to the current system. Current system level 1 can contain up to 10 souls. To upgrade to level 2, the host must hunt and kill a beginner-level mutated creature. The sudden appearance of the system left him thoroughly confused. A Soul Gathering Banner system? Such a low-tier magical treasure even has a spirit? But I remember this thing is only supposed to collect souls. What else can it do? The system quickly provided an answer. The Soul Gathering Banner could actually convert the soul power it collected from the dead into spiritual energy, feeding it back to the host. The higher the level of the Soul Gathering Banner, the stronger the souls it could collect, and the more spiritual energy it would feed back. The system also issued a warning. Souls of creatures that have been dead for more than 5 minutes will dissipate and cannot be collected. Hearing this, he was overjoyed. The system could actually convert soul energy into the spiritual energy of the immortal realm. This meant that even though this world lacked natural spiritual energy, if he could refine the souls of the monsters roaming outside, he could still have a chance to return to his peak. If this path works, even in the face of overwhelming despair, he could still find hope for rebirth. Just then, there was a sudden knock at the door behind him, and the ones knocking were none other than his ex-girlfriend and her lover. Without hesitation, he opened the door, and with a cold laugh, said, "Perfect timing. You can help me test the effects of the Soul Gathering Banner." Drawing on his extensive battle experience from his past life, he precisely pierced the heads of both with the Soul Gathering Banner, executing the move swiftly and decisively. He immediately activated the Soul Gathering Banner's power, and the souls of the two were quickly absorbed, their bodies losing all vitality in a matter of seconds. After a brief moment, he calmly and efficiently withdrew the Soul Gathering Banner, as if everything was under his control. However, the two, now transformed into monsters, did not die. They crawled back up. He sighed in irritation and coldly said, "Annoying. Do you really think I'm a soft target?" Without hesitation, he activated the Soul Gathering Banner's power again, and a surge of pure spiritual energy rushed into his body, filling him with an unprecedented sense of strength. His cultivation immediately broke through, reaching the Chi-Si realm, and he gained the ability to control 2 souls simultaneously, greatly enhancing his power. After a brief period of adjustment, he decided to head outside, because this body was currently unable to fast, and he needed to find food to regain strength and continue hunting monsters. At this moment, countless panicked humans were fleeing toward the official safe zone on the street. But along the way, accidents continued to happen, causing chaos everywhere. A woman with yellow hair and a large frame became the first target of the monster's attack. Driven by her instinct to survive and the selfishness of human nature, she didn't hesitate to push a young girl toward the monsters, running away herself. In an instant, the girl fell to the middle of the street, unable to move. This sight made him freeze, for his third disciple, Lin Wanxiu, looked almost identical to this girl. Watching her being tangled by the monsters, an intense surge of anger erupted within him, as though the world around him blurred. Fury and frustration burned in his chest, and he could almost hear his own heartbeat pounding. Without hesitation, he summoned the Soul Gathering Banner, and a deep, cold voice escaped his lips. "You wretched disciple, even if you must die, it will be by my hand." The Soul Gathering Banner quickly blocked the monster's attack on the girl, and with a powerful leap, he grabbed the banner and thrust it down forcefully, piercing the monster straight through, blood splattering as it collapsed to the ground. He gazed down at the monster lying before him, his expression cold, yet his heart remained unmoved. The girl was left utterly shocked, her mind in disbelief. She couldn't fathom that she was still alive. Had this man saved her? Before she could think more about it, his voice coldly reached her ears. "Just a short while ago, You used the thunderbolt technique to force me into a corner, yet now you seem so weak in front of this little monster. Lin Wanxiu, you have truly disappointed your master. The words left the girl confused, her mind swirling. What's going on? What is this man talking about? How does he know my name? Though filled with questions, she quickly stood up and respectfully said, "Thank you so much for saving me, sir. But have we met somewhere before?" As soon as he spoke, his gaze immediately sharpened, and he pointed the tip of the soul-gathering banner at Lin Wanxiu, his voice cold and ruthless. "Do you think that pretending to be crazy will help you escape everything?" However, the words made the girl think he was just acting out, and she hurriedly warned, "There's still danger around. We need to leave immediately." Seeing the expression on Lin Wanxiu's face, he couldn't help but feel a sense of doubt. Could it be that he had mistaken the person in front of him? Was she not the Lin Wanxiu he knew? No, he quickly dismissed the thought. No, I would never mistake her. The appearance of this person is identical to that rebellious disciple. I can't be wrong unless... He suddenly wondered, could it be that this rebellious disciple lost her memory after coming to this world? Well, once I investigate further, everything will become clear. Just then, his stomach let out a loud growl, breaking the silence. Lin Wanxiu couldn't help but laugh lightly at the sound, and with a gentle tone, she said, "If you don't mind, sir, I know there's a large mall up ahead. We should be able to resupply and take refuge there. Would you like to join me?" Hearing this, he coughed lightly, trying to ease the awkwardness. He said coldly, "Since that's the case, I will accompany you to see." With that, he allowed Lin Wanxiu to pull his hand as they headed toward the mall. As they ran, Lin Wanxiu said, "Let's hurry. If we get there sooner, we might be able to grab more supplies while we wait for rescue." However, as he glanced at Lin Wanxiu, his vigilance remained unshaken. He thought to himself, "Fine, let me see whether you've truly lost your memory or if you're just pretending. But no matter the reason, the fact remains that you betrayed me." His eyes gleamed with coldness as he murmured, "Once I uncover the truth, you will pay for your betrayal." After 2.5 minutes had passed, Lin Wanxiu and he finally arrived at the Walmart supermarket. At that moment, Lin Wanxiu suddenly stopped in her tracks. She turned back, a hint of apology in her tone as she asked, "By the way, I was in such a rush earlier, I forgot to ask. What's your name, sir?" Upon hearing her words, he was briefly stunned, his brows furrowing slightly. This girl truly didn't seem to be pretending. Could she really have forgotten even his name? Then again, there was another possibility. Perhaps she was merely a normal person who happened to look exactly like Lin Wanxiu. After a brief pause, he replied, "My name is Su Bai." But in his heart, the suspicion remained. If she ever revealed even the slightest trace of being Lin Wanxiu, he would make her suffer a fate worse than death. He would crush her with his own hands. Oblivious to the cold, twisted thoughts in his heart, Lin Wanxiu smiled gently and said, "Then, Mr. Su Bai, come with me. Let's take shelter here for now." Yet before she could finish her sentence, her voice abruptly halted, because at that moment, the scene inside the mall came into full view. A gruesome hellscape of blood, scattered limbs, and countless monsters feasting on the corpses of the fallen. The horrific sight made Lin Wanxiu's face pale with terror. What's going on? Why are there so many monsters?" Her voice trembled, panic rising in her eyes. And then, from the depths of the mall, a strange and eerie whisper echoed. "Membership card, 50% off. Why is no one signing up for the card?" Without another word, the monster swung its arm with terrifying force, and several other monsters were instantly torn in half, blood and flesh scattering in the air. This scene made Su Bai's eyes light up with interest. This aura, it's roughly at the early stage of the Qi-Si realm. This must be the so-called primary mutant. Meanwhile, Lin Wanxiu was terrified beyond words. She quickly hid behind Su Bai, her voice panicked. "This place has been overrun by monsters. We need to get out of here." She tried to pull Su Bai along to flee, but to her shock, he didn't move an inch. Su Bai slowly took out the soul-gathering banner, a gleam of excitement flashing in his eyes. Perfect timing. My soul banner needs one more sacrifice to level up. And now I've decided it'll be you." As he spoke, he hurled the soul gathering banner high into the air, his expression calm and eager. Let's see how this new ability performs. In the next instant, two monsters emerged from the banner, none other than his ex-girlfriend and a yellow-haired man he had previously slain. He coldly commanded, "Go, clear the path before me." The two vengeful monsters let out guttural roars and charged into the horde, beginning a ruthless massacre. Blood sprayed, limbs flew, the carnage had begun. At this moment, the two vengeful monsters displayed astonishing agility, their movements swift and ghost-like. Moreover, their strength had surged dramatically, far surpassing what they possessed in life. The fat monster barely had time to react before Lu Rian viciously tore it in half, blood and flesh splattering across the ground. A gruesome scene. Just then, the primary mutant monster arrived, its aura surging violently, brimming with killing intent. Seeing the shift in momentum, Subai immediately ordered Lu Ruyin and the yellow-haired monster to fall back. If they hadn't retreated in time, they would have been instantly slain by the powerful mutant, their souls torn asunder. He knew well. These summoned monsters had no fear of death, but they were still mere puppets. And with his current limited spiritual power, a prolonged battle would only spell trouble. He had to end it swiftly. He began rapidly forming hand seals, channeling his remaining spiritual power to cast a flurry of attack spells. With his spell support, Lu Ruyin and the yellow-haired monster surged forward again, charging toward the primary mutant with killing intent. The yellow-haired monster moved first, leaping high into the air, attempting a sudden aerial assault, fast and ferocious like a bolt of lightning. However, the primary mutant had already detected the aerial assault from the yellow-haired monster. With a swift motion, it raised its hand and struck, a piercing blow that tore through the monster's chest, blood gushing out. But the mutant didn't realize this was all part of Subai's plan, a deliberate feint to create an opening. At that exact moment, Lu Ruyin launched a sneak attack from behind, leaping onto the mutant's back like a shadow, her limbs tightly coiling around its body. Without hesitation, she sank her teeth into its neck with a vicious bite. Then came a relentless tearing, ripping flesh apart in a brutal frenzy. Lu Ruyin flipped off the creature's body just as a torrent of blood spurted from its wounded neck. The moment she landed gracefully on the ground, the primary mutant also collapsed, lifeless. Subai stepped forward without delay, gripping the soul-gathering banner tightly, standing before the fallen creature. He swiftly formed hand seals, shouting with authority, "Soul capture!" The soul-gathering banner suddenly trembled, its surface billowing as several pitch-black chains shot forth, lashing toward the primary mutant. The chains wrapped tightly around the creature like venomous serpents, binding it completely, leaving it no chance to resist. As the banner continued to spin, eerie energy filled the air. The mutant's soul was gradually drawn out, forcibly absorbed into the banner. At that moment, the system's voice echoed in his mind. "Congratulations, host. You have slain a low-tier monster. Soul Gathering Banner has been upgraded to level 2. Soul capacity increased to 5. The system added, to advance to level 3, you must slay 2 advanced tier monsters. He frowned slightly upon hearing the term advanced tier, a hint of doubt creeping into his mind. Wait, doesn't that mean I'll need to hunt monsters equivalent to the Foundation Establishment realm? But right now, his cultivation was only at the Mid-Chi Sea realm. Facing such beasts would be courting death. Just as he was lost in thought, Lin Wanxiu ran over, her face filled with excitement and awe. "Mr. Subai, I thought you were just a regular edgy weirdo, but you're actually an incredibly powerful edgy weirdo." Hearing that, Subai couldn't help but feel a bit embarrassed. He silently muttered to himself, "Is this girl really my clever and capable second disciple? Why does she seem a little silly now?" Just then, a voice rang out from the crowd of hiding survivors. "Everyone come out. The monster's dead." We can go back to distributing the supplies." One after another, people began emerging from their hiding spots, gathering around to discuss how to divide the supplies and settle in to wait for rescue. Looking at the piles of materials, Lin Wanshio finally let out a relieved smile. "Mr. Subai, we're saved now. With this much food and supplies, we should be able to hold out until help arrives." Suddenly, a man shouted loudly, "Hey, who the hell are you people? Don't you know the rule of first come, first served? This is our territory. Who said you could help yourselves to our supplies?" Others quickly chimed in, "Yeah, who do you think you are? You don't just show up and start dividing things. What? Did you just wake up from a dream? These supplies were secured with our lives. Don't even think about freeloading." Lin Wanchio's temper exploded. She shouted angrily, "You shameless people! It was Mr. Subai who killed the monsters. You all just came out after the danger passed, and now you're claiming credit." The man scoffed, sneering him. "That stick-thin guy, he could kill monsters like that. Please, if you're going to make up stories, at least make them believable. More likely the monsters turned on each other. You're just riding on luck and trying to steal the glory. Pathetic." Lin Wanchio was furious, trembling with rage. She couldn't believe the sheer audacity and shamelessness of these people. It made her blood boil. Just as Lin Wanchio trembled with rage, gritting her teeth in fury, Subai stepped forward and gently patted her shoulder. He spoke calmly, his voice low yet firm. "Enough. Since ancient times, wealth has stirred the hearts of men. Remember, words alone cannot win you benefits." Lin Wanchio frowned in frustration. "But those monsters were clearly defeated by you, Mr. Subai. They're just looting and now slandering you on top of that." Subai smiled faintly, his eyes cold and profound. "The weak argue with words. The strong are the argument." With that, he began walking slowly toward the group of shouting men, each step steady and composed, exuding an imposing presence. Standing before them, he declared with an air of dominance, "I want the supplies. Who agrees? Who objects?" The men burst out in laughter and curses. "Look at this guy. What? You think you alone can take on all of us? Better get lost while you still can. You piss us off, and we'll break your legs." Hearing that, Subai's lips curved into a cold smile, his eyes sharp as blades. He spoke with icy calmness. "Then you can all die. Once you're dead, the supplies will be mine." As soon as the words left his mouth, a massive, monstrous figure suddenly emerged behind him, its presence overwhelming, its killing intent flooding the air. The crowd erupted in panic, eyes wide with horror. "A monster! That monster is still alive." Subai calmly raised the soul-gathering banner, pointing it toward the group of men, his tone cold and indifferent. "Kill them." At the same moment, the massive monster lifted its arm, assuming an aggressive stance, exuding murderous intent. The men were terrified, shouting frantically, "Don't kill me. I didn't mean it. Take whatever supplies you want. They're all yours." But their pleas came too late. The monster moved like lightning, launching its assault without mercy. In mere moments, the most arrogant of the men were slaughtered by the beast, their blood painting the ground. The remaining survivors screamed in terror, scattering like frightened mice. Subai's expression remained cold as he asked, "Anyone else want to stop me?" The entire crowd fell silent, everyone lowering their heads, afraid to make sound. The atmosphere became deathly still. Seeing this, Subai turned to Lin Wanchio and said flatly, "You see? Now, no one will dare oppose you. Take whatever you want." Lin Wanchio stared at him with wide eyes, then slowly nodded, a mixture of awe and fear in her expression. As she began collecting supplies, Subai turned and with a wave of his hand, retracted the monster back into the soul-gathering banner. The battlefield returned to eerie calm. At that moment, Lin Wanchio suddenly noticed that Subai hadn't taken any supplies. She turned back and asked, "Mr. Subai, don't you need to take some supplies too?" Subai gave a faint smile, his tone slightly playful. "Isn't that what you're here for? Consider it part of your repayment for me saving your life. Just helping me carry a few things. Surely you don't mind?" In truth, behind his casual tone, he was still testing her, trying to see if this Lin Wanxiu was truly amnesiac or merely acting. But Lin Wanxiu smiled brightly and replied, "Then I'll take yours too. I'm strong enough to carry both." Watching her cheerfully loading up supplies, Subai couldn't help but feel a little speechless. Maybe she really is just a girl who happens to look like my second disciple, he murmured to himself. Before long, Lin Wanxiu had packed a large backpack full of supplies and slung it over her shoulders with a satisfied grin. She turned back and asked, "Mr. Subai, what will we do next? Should we stay here and wait for rescue?" Subai didn't answer directly. He simply turned away and began walking. Subai had already made up his mind. He was going to hunt a more powerful monster to continue leveling up his soul-gathering banner. He turned and said calmly, "Bring the supplies. We're leaving." Lin Wanxiu followed him cheerfully, still smiling, seemingly unaware of the dangers that awaited them. After the two left, the remaining survivors began murmuring in low voices, their expressions dark. "Damn that bastard. He dared to kill people in broad daylight. Once the rescue team arrives, I'm going to report him to the authorities." Exactly. People like him should be brought to justice. Let's see how tough he is when he's behind bars. One person, more composed than the rest, said, "Stop arguing. Split up the rest of the supplies quickly and find somewhere to hide. Don't draw attention again. As long as we wait for the rescue, we'll be fine." Everyone nodded in agreement and started distributing the supplies. But as they scrambled for the remaining goods, a faint sound of heavy footsteps approached from behind. Emerging from the shadows, it was the female monster, and the yellow-haired monster returned once again. The outermost people were already being silently slain, their blood pooling without a sound, while the others continued fighting over supplies, oblivious. None of them realized death had already arrived at their backs. "I told you these supplies were mine first, if you know what's good for you." The man paused mid-sentence as he noticed the terrified expressions of those in front of him. Slowly, he turned around. The moment his eyes met the sight behind him, his knees buckled and he collapsed to the ground, trembling uncontrollably. His voice shook as he stammered, How is this possible? Why are there still monsters?" The others finally noticed too, and panic broke out. "Damn it, why are there still monsters? I thought they were gone. Forget the supplies, I don't want to die." But the monsters didn't understand fear. They pounced into the crowd without hesitation, tearing through bodies in mere seconds. Screams and blood filled the air. The obese woman who had previously shoved Lin Wanxiu crawled backward in desperation, sobbing, "Help me, someone please. I don't want to die." But no one came. Instead, a monster's foot came crashing down, silencing her forever in a pool of blood. After eliminating every last one of them, the two monsters silently returned to the soul-gathering banner, leaving only carnage behind. From afar, Subai glanced back, his expression calm and indifferent. In his heart, he muttered, "If you don't cut the weeds at the root, trouble always grows back." As he walked, Subai silently pondered, "Right now, I can only control up to 3 undead. If I were to face more than 10 monsters at once, I'd have no choice but to retreat. Until the banner levels up further, I must act discreetly and avoid drawing unnecessary attention." Behind him, Lin Wanxiu was panting heavily as she tried to keep up, calling out, "Subai, wait up! Can't you slow down a bit?" Without even turning around, Subai replied coldly, "I'm busy. I don't have time to babysit you. If you keep slowing me down, I'll leave you here without a second thought." Lin Wanxiu puffed up her cheeks and huffed indignantly, "Humph. I don't believe for a second that Mr. Subai would actually leave me behind." Subai shot back calmly, "And what makes you so sure? We have no ties. What reason would I have to keep you around?" With a proud look, Lin Wanxiu raised her chin and declared, "Because I know where the strong monster you're looking for is." Subai's gaze sharpened slightly. "Oh, you know the location of an advanced tier monster." Lin Wanxiu nodded seriously. "I didn't stay at school because not long ago, near the artificial lake on campus, I saw a very strange monster. It had a unique aura different from all the others." But under Subai's sharp gaze, she began to waver a little, her tone growing uncertain. Well, I'm not sure if it's what you're looking for, but it looked really dangerous. Subai pondered silently. A big one? A mutant beast? If that's true, then it's definitely worth investigating. He glanced at her and said coolly, looks like you still have some value. Lead the way. Lin Wanxiu, carrying her backpack, muttered while walking, Mr. Subai, I'm the one leading. You should be following me, not walking in front of me. The two soon arrived at the school grounds. The place was crawling with monsters, and the air was thick with the stench of rot and blood. Lin Wanxiu walked cautiously, glancing nervously left and right, her body visibly tense. Subai frowned and asked with irritation, You've been walking and stopping again and again. What exactly are you doing? She quickly raised her hand in a hushed gesture and whispered, Many of the people in the school have turned into monsters. If we accidentally provoke them, we'll be in trouble. But Subai showed no concern. He strode past her and said coldly, It's not that complicated. I don't have time to waste on your caution. With that, he slammed the tip of the soul-gathering banner into the ground. Cracks spread across the floor, and eerie black mist began to rise. The monsters within the soul banner emerged one after another, exuding a terrifying aura. Subai gave a cold command, Go, clear the path. Watching the fierce scene unfold ahead, Lin Wanxiu couldn't help but mutter in awe, Mr. Subai is seriously so domineering. Before her words even faded, the monsters ahead were already swiftly torn apart by the undead creatures Subai had unleashed. Blood and limbs scattered everywhere. The path cleared in mere moments. A heavy feeling weighed in her heart. Monsters? When the world happened to this place? How did so many people become such terrifying, twisted beings? Just then, human voices echoed from a distance, filled with desperation and fear. Lin Wanxiu paused, her expression shifting. Something about that voice, it sounded familiar. Looking toward the direction of the cries, she saw 3 boys surrounded by a pack of monsters in a corner not far away. Armed only with axes and sticks, they were fighting fiercely, struggling to survive. One of the boys, wearing glasses, swung his axe and struck a monster's shoulder. But to their horror, the monster didn't back down. It let out a roar and charged straight at him. The glasses-wearing boy fell backward in fright, while another boy quickly stepped in, jabbing a wooden stick at the monster's head to hold it off. Another boy swung his hockey stick forcefully at the monster, striking hard, but it only managed to push the creature back slightly. The boy with the wooden stick shouted urgently, Go! Retreat now! These monsters aren't something we can handle. We need another plan. At that moment, Lin Wanxiu finally recognized the group and gasped, That's Guming? Li Mingxian. What are they doing here? They were her classmates, people she never expected to see in such a place. Why were they here? How had they ended up in the middle of this nightmare? Subai walked over slowly, his gaze sweeping across the chaotic battlefield. Hearing Lin Wanxiu's reaction, he raised an eyebrow. You know them? Lin Wanxiu nodded quickly, but Subai merely let out a cold chuckle, his voice flat and indifferent. Is that so? And what? Do you expect me to go and save them? Lin Wanxiu pulled Subai along urgently, saying, Mr. Subai, let's go quickly. While those monsters are distracted by them, we need to get out of here. If we're discovered, we won't be able to escape either. Subai cautiously asked, You're not going to help them? Aren't they your classmates? Lin Wanxiu hesitated for a moment before replying firmly, If circumstances allowed, I'd help them. But I can't risk putting you in danger, Mr. Subai. Subai sneered inwardly. These words could never have come from the mouth of that traitorous disciple. It seems she really is just an ordinary girl. At that moment, the 3 boys surrounded by monsters spotted Lin Wanxiu and shouted, Lin Wanxiu. They kept waving and shouting, Lin Wanxiu, over here. We can't hold on much longer. Bring your companion and help us. Lin Wanxiu snapped angrily, Damn it, Li Mingxian. Is he trying to drag us down with him? But to her horror, she quickly realized that because of Li Mingxuan's shouting, the monsters had noticed her and Subai. Worse yet, those monsters were already starting to move toward them. Lin Wanxiu broke down in tears. Mr. Subai, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Subai remained calm. Stand back, he said coldly, then took out the soul banner. In an instant, 3 formidable monsters emerged from within the banner. Subai sneered coldly. Even the 9 nethered demon lord fell by my hand. These lowly dead things think they can kill me. With that, he waved his hand and commanded the 3 monsters to slaughter the advancing foes. At first, the 3 summoned monsters still held the upper hand. But as more and more monsters gathered around, their advantage began to wane, especially Lu Ruyan and Huang Mao. They were quickly surrounded by hordes of monsters. In the end, they were torn apart and ripped to shreds by the relentless attacks. At the same time, the system prompt sounded, "Controllable zombie, count -2. Subai took the device and looked at it in confusion. He had no idea what it was or how to use it. In this situation, he had to find a way to lure the monsters away. Only then would there be a chance of survival. He turned to Lin Wanxiu and asked, "Is there anything nearby that can make a loud noise? I need to draw them away." Lin Wanxiu began racking her brain. Something that makes a loud noise. Her mind raced through every possibility she could think of. Lin Wanxiu suddenly had an idea. She pulled out a phone from her pocket and said, "Try this." Subai took the device and looked at it in confusion. He had no idea what it was or how to use it. Lin Wanxiu quickly tapped the play button. Instantly, loud music erupted from the phone, echoing through the surroundings. The monsters, agitated by the sound, began moving toward the source of the noise. Subai's eyes lit up in delight. What an incredible magical artifact. Without hesitation, he hurled the phone forcefully into the distance. Lin Wanxiu, unable to stop him, could only cry out, "My phone." Unexpectedly, the phone was caught mid-air by the large monster Subai had controlled earlier. In an instant, hordes of monsters swarmed toward that monster, mistaking it as the source, and began attacking it. Lin Wanxiu was stunned. "Wait, this actually works?" Then, Subai pulled Lin Wanxiu along as they quickly fled toward the school building. Lin Wanxiu gasped as she ran, shouting, "Mr. Subai, slow down a little." Once they reached the back of the school building, Lin Wanxiu dropped her heavy backpack to the ground and panted, "Mr. Subai, it's all thanks to you. If it weren't for you, I don't think I would have made it here." Subai replied calmly, "It's nothing. You help me find advanced level zombies. I ensure your safety. We each get what we need." Suddenly, the door was flung open. It was Li Mingxian and his 2 companions stumbling in. The 3 were exhausted and breathed a sigh of relief. "We're saved." Those monsters suddenly got distracted. Otherwise, we'd be dead for sure. As Lin Wanxiu turned around, her eyes met Li Mingxuan's. His face lit up with surprise and joy. "Lin Wanxiu, that's great. You made it out too." "Lin Wanxiu, you really brought back supplies. Thank God, we're saved." Without waiting for her to respond, the student rushed over, yanking the pack open without hesitation. Lin Wanxiu's expression changed instantly. "What are you doing? These supplies belong to Mr. Subai." Hearing that, Li Mingxian dropped the act. His tone turned cold. "Lin Wanxiu, are you seriously still talking about yours and mine right now? There are students out there dying without these supplies. Hand them over." A bespectacled boy quickly stepped in. "All right, let's calm down. This place isn't safe. Let's get back to the classroom and figure out distribution later." He turned to Subai. "You too, man. Come with us. Safety in numbers, right?" Subai simply nodded and followed along, clearly unconcerned. Lin Wanxiu whispered to him apologetically, "Mr. Subai, I'm really sorry, but your share of the supplies, I won't let them touch it. Not a chance." "It's fine," Subai replied calmly. "My goal is the evolved zombies location. But you, how can you be sure they'll actually listen to you?" Lin Wanxiu, still holding on to a shred of optimism, answered, "There are still teachers among the survivors. They're keeping order." Subai glanced at her, skeptical. In a world twisted by mutation and chaos, could something like order really survive? But instead of arguing, he simply gave a cold smirk and stayed silent. Meanwhile, as expected, Li Mingxian and his group were already eyeing the supplies in her pack. With that food, they'd have a real shot at surviving while longer. Even if Lin Wanxiu protested, once they stepped into their territory, the outcome was already decided. The group arrived outside the classroom. The door was suddenly flung open. "Where are the supplies? Did you bring them?" The people inside looked pale and hollow-eyed, clearly just ordinary civilians with no strength left. Their conditions said it all. The zombie outbreak probably hadn't started long ago. "Lin Wanxiu, please share the supplies. We haven't eaten in 3 days." Seeing those desperate, pleading eyes, Lin Wanxiu's resolve began to waver. "All right, but I'm only giving you half. The rest belongs to Mr. Su Bai." But as if he had planned for this, Li Mingxian quickly snapped back. "There's no way one person can eat all that." "Fine, I'll pay for it." He smirked darkly. "Relax. I'll pay 10 times the market rate. You're okay with that, right?" His tone subtly shifted, carrying an unmistakable threat. But the only response he got was Su Bai's unchanging, icy stare. Calm, silent, dangerous. Mistaking his silence for weakness, Li Mingxian lunged forward, reaching for the supplies. But the very next second, a mutated creature appeared from the shadows and instantly seized him with ease. The rest of the group froze in terror, cold sweat dripping as they screamed and scattered. "It's those monsters! Where the hell did it come from? Damn it, it has to be Li Mingxuan's fault. I told you we shouldn't have let them in." In a corner of the room, someone trembled. "Wait a sec, that thing. It looks like it came from that guy next to Lin Wanxiu." Su Bai stepped forward, grabbing Li Mingxian by the collar. His voice was low and chilling. "Was it you? Because of you, I lost 2 undead. And now you want my supplies too?" Li Mingxuan's arrogance evaporated instantly. He stammered and begged for mercy. But before he could finish his plea, Su Bai slammed him to the ground with one brutal stomp. 371. Su Bai leaned down, his voice cold and sharp. "Tell me, should I kill you now? Use your soul to make up for my undead." Only then did Li Mingxian remember. He had teammates. But those so-called allies were already distancing themselves, shoving every ounce of blame onto him. Li Mingxuan's eyes went wide with despair. "I got those supplies for you. And this is how you repay me. You backstabbing bastards. Trying to throw me under the bus to cozy up to Lin Wanxiu and that guy." He turned toward Lin Wanxiu, begging, "I'm sorry. I don't want the supplies anymore. Just forgive me, please." Su Bai remained silent for a moment. It looked like he was waiting for Lin Wanxiu's decision. After all, the disciple he once knew, named Lin Wanxiu, had a heart as cold as steel. Lin Wanxiu took a long breath, steadying herself. Then she spoke calmly. "Mr. Su Bai, yes, Li Mingxian was wrong, but he did it for everyone. Please let him go. Let them take my share of the supplies. Just don't hurt anyone." Su Bai narrowed his eyes. "So this girl really wasn't his Lin Wanxiu. Just a lookalike, huh? If that's the case, then there's no reason to follow her anymore." Without a word, he lifted his foot off Li Mingxuan's chest. Su Bai withdrew his mutated creature and spoke calmly. "So be it. Our contract ends here. You found your new companions. It's time we part ways. As for the evolved zombie, I'll investigate it on my own." But just as he turned to leave, Lin Wanxiu suddenly grabbed his hand. She stood up abruptly, her voice anxious. "Mr. Su Bai, I really do know where the monster is. Lately, I felt something strange in the school. An eerie presence, like something watching us. It chills me to the bone. I don't know if it's what you call evolved zombie, but it terrifies me." Hearing that, Su Bai's eyes sharpened with realization. Innate spirit body, a rare constitution capable of sensing spiritual energy. But as far as he knew, only one person in the world had that gift, his disciple, Lin Wanxiu. Now he wasn't so sure anymore. Could she really be the same person? In the ancient cultivation realm, memories from the past flickered like a distant dream. A younger Lin Wanxiu stepped forward, holding a glowing relic in her hands, and said with determination, "I found what you asked for. Now, will you take me as your disciple?" Su Bai took the artifact, his fingers brushing over the lingering spiritual aura. "Tell me, how did you find it?" he asked, voice calm. yet edged with curiosity. Lin Wanxiu dropped to one knee, her tone respectful but confident. I was born with the innate ability to trace and reveal hidden things. From this day on, I am your sword, swift, loyal, and without hesitation. Subai nodded with approval and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Very well. From today, you are my second disciple. With your natural spiritual body, your future might even surpass mine. Lin Wanqiu's expression turned solemn. My life was saved by you, Master. I dare not aim to surpass you, only to serve by your side and rid you of burdens. Subai suddenly crouched down, lifting her chin with cold fingers, his gaze both amused and dangerous. Still calling me senior, he whispered. Lin Wanqiu blushed, lowering her voice. Master! Back in the present, Subai's eyes sharpened like blades. Dark thoughts churned in his mind. She may not remember the past, but that won't stop me from sending her to her death. Come now, my precious disciple. Enter my 10,000 souls banner. Become my servant, and suffer an eternity of soul-forging torment. As he reached toward her, Lin Wanqiu suddenly grabbed his wrist. Her voice trembled with urgency, her grip desperate. Subai, please, you have to believe me. That thing is coming. We have to leave now, or it'll be too late. In that moment, Subai froze. His expression stiffened, and he remained silent. A few seconds later, a faint smirk tugged at the corner of his mouth. Then, he burst into laughter, low at first, then louder, more manic with each breath. Damn it, he thought. I almost killed her just now. A natural-born spiritual body, one of the rarest constitutions in existence. Killing her outright would be such a waste. Why destroy what I can exploit? She'll make a perfect pawn. I'll use her until there's not a single drop of value left. And when that day comes, I'll show her mercy. A spot in my 10,000 souls banner awaits my dear disciple. Suddenly, a chilling presence emerged outside the classroom building. Something monstrous stirred in the shadows. The creature muttered to itself in a gravelly tone. This is the source of that spiritual energy. Damn, I got lucky. If I didn't find more energy soon, I'd be nothing but another half-dead freak like the rest of them. Don't let me down now. With a sudden lunge, it leapt skyward, landing in front of the classroom window where Subai stood. Subai narrowed his eyes, mind racing. So this is the powerful entity Lin Wanqiu mentioned? A mutated serpent demon? No, something's off. That aura, it's familiar and incredibly dangerous. The students screamed in panic. What the hell is that thing? Who cares? Just run. You want to die here? Crap. The door won't open. Several of them pushed frantically, but the door didn't budge an inch. Lin Wanqiu pointed at the creature outside, her voice tense. Mr. Subai? That's the same one I saw by the artificial lake. The energy, it's exactly the same. There's no mistake. Subai's brows furrowed as confusion flashed through his mind. Impossible. This thing has spiritual energy. This isn't just some mutated beast. It's a demon beast from the cultivation realm. But how could it be here? Meanwhile, the monster grinned wickedly, thinking to itself, no spiritual energy? No problem. This place is heaven compared to that cursed cultivation world. Here, I can feast on humans freely. No meddling cultivators. Just weaklings. Perfect. In a blink, it grabbed a student. Its claws tore through cloth as it lifted its prey, ready to stuff them into its gaping jaws. A woman, clearly a teacher, rushed to Subai's side, eyes wide with desperation. Please help them. They're just kids. I'll do anything. Just save them. Subai looked at her coldly and replied, whether I can or not is beside the point. Their lives have nothing to do with me. The woman fell to her knees, sobbing, Money. I'll pay you whatever you want. Just save them. Subai gave her a dismissive glance and said calmly, I don't care for money. But don't worry. When you're all dead, I'll be sure to escort your souls myself. In the blink of an eye, the male student was swallowed whole. No scream, no struggle, just gone. Suddenly, behind the monster, a lone zombie emerged from the shadows. Without warning, it lashed out, slamming its fist into the back of the creature's skull. Thud! The beast collapsed to the ground with a heavy thump. The zombie raised its clawed hand, preparing to finish the job. But the creature's eyes snapped open, glowing red with rage. It twisted its head violently and unleashed a grotesquely long tongue, whipping it across the zombie's chest with a sickening crack. As the monster rose to its feet, the zombie was already ensnared, its body tightly wrapped in the creature's slimy appendage. Then the beast paused. It had caught the scent of spiritual energy in the air. A cultivator? In this filthy realm? Its gaze locked onto Subai. Weak, but just enough to recharge me. Just as the beast was sizing him up, the zombie spun around and kicked. Snap! The tongue was severed clean. The zombie landed gracefully in front of Subai, shielding him. The creature staggered back, howling in pain. Subai's voice dropped to a cold whisper, a sinister grin forming. So you were after me all along? Well then, I guess I'll just have to kill you.